that's like really kind of diplomatic and like a teaching answer. So I will now give the asshole answer.
Yeah, nice.
Just playing the game is not enough anymore. Hello, internet world! This is a collaboration video with Culinary Role-Playing and Merheal, the Finnish actual play show. So I can introduce Culinary Role-Playing first, and then Ilmari can tell you more about Merheal.
Sounds good.
Culinary Role-Playing is, if you don't know, it's a tabletop role-playing game YouTube show, where I usually talk about different tabletop role-playing game systems. And I tend to focus on solo gaming, but I have a lot of different contents about how to be a good role player, how to be a good GM, and I sometimes do a little review stuff-ish. But most of the time I just play solo games. But today I also want to talk about actual plays. And what better way to talk about actual plays than with an actual GM who runs an actual play. So Ilmari, tell a bit about yourself and about Merheal, the SHACKLERS.
Yeah, so I'm a long-form D&D tabletop RPG game nerd. That's why I'm here with Valtteri. And I'm also GMing Merheal, the SHACKLERS, which is sort of like Witcher meets Game of Thrones, but we are playing in Finnish, and it's a story about mage hunters trying to sort of oppress magic and hunt the last mages after a big war.
And I'm actually a player in that show as well, so we do know each other from other places as well.
And we have also gamed together in like home games,
yes.
And that's how we met at the first time. So
yes,
that's
a lot of games in our past. But we could maybe first get into the talk and conversation about actual plays overall.
Yeah.
So maybe we can first start about like how did you got introduced into actual plays? What was your first touch in them, and like why did you start to watch actual plays?
Yeah, I think sort of my starting point was at the same time I started to tabletop role playing as a whole, because I had played my first game basically as a player. And after the game, I was ecstatic, sort of really interested in the hobby, and I was asking about the GM, like, when can we do this again? And the GM was like, oh dear boy, I have to tell you, we are not gonna do this a lot because of the schedules, and everybody has a busy life, so maybe like in a half a year or something. And I was like, oh, I have to get this feeling more. And also I wanted to learn about the system. We were playing D&D 5th edition, so I wanted to know more about that. And that's when the Game Master was like, well, you can watch Critical Role. So I guess that's also the sort of typical starting point. And that was mine as well. So when I was interested, that was the way to watch other people play the game, know about learn about the rules more. And that was the first starting point and sort of the first mental image about what actual play is, even though now I know it can be a lot more.
So the Critical Role was your first actual play as well?
Yeah, the sort of gateway. I think it's for many.
It is for many, and it was definitely for me as well. And for the exact same reason, I wanted to have like examples of how the game like actually plays. That's my thing. But yeah, it was like for me as well. I found out about D&D, and I wanted to try it with my friends, and we did like try it a few times, but it's still like something. It didn't quite click for me yet, like how to actually do it. and I wanted to have like some examples. So I actually went to the YouTube and just typed like D&D Let's Play. And I was like, oh, is there a videos that somebody have like played it before? And then there was Critical Role Season 1. And I started watching it around like when they had like 60 episodes in already. So not from the very beginning, but definitely from the Season 1. And that was for me like, oh, this is how you play tabletop role-playing games. And now we know it's just one example.
Yeah, obviously.
It's not like complete accurate depiction of how to play tabletop role-playing games, but it did help. It did help to have an actual example of how you can actually ask people to make skill checks or different checks, how actually the combat works, how the game mechanics work. That was the very good beginning.
It sort of, I think it gave me courage also the game master, because I had this one group that introduced me to the game, but then I had no sort of like friends or relatives who even knew what tabletop role-playing games were. So I was like, oh, now I have to game master myself if I wanna play this game again. So, and that was sort of like a big, it felt like a big leap. So the actual play helped me in that sense, because I had more, I saw more of one type of play. Only one type, but still. So that gave me the courage to be like, okay.
At least some type of play.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
But I think the biggest fantasy in actual plays are that you have a dedicated group that comes together every week. That is the fantasy. And I think like, for me, it definitely was because at that time I had only one group that played once a year. We had like this highly intense group that we always come together for 1 week and we play like 10 hours straight per each day. So I played like over 100 hours of tabletop role plays per year, but it was condensed into 1 week. But all the other time I didn't have any group to play with. So that definitely was something at least to watch an actual play. And I think that is the reason and how the APs have been on the rise.
Yeah.
Or how did they like come to become this huge show, was that people who didn't have a group to play with or didn't have anyone to play with, they now can like kind of at least spectate and be part of the table.
Yeah.
At least as a spectator.
Yeah, and I think there is a really big sense of community in many actual play shows, because it really feels like you're at the table, or at the very least near it, sort of feeling the different sort of emotions at the table, and maybe laughing with other players and stuff like that. So it gives this sort of tabletop role-playing game community aspect as well. Obviously you can have that with friends, with your own home games, but because you can't maybe always schedule them, or you might be in some area where it's not possible to get together, play as much as you would like. So they sort of give you that sense of belonging as well.
How would you compare tabletop role-playing game actual plays to like video game Let's Plays, which are also very popular?
Yeah, there is
I think there's some kind of
things.
correlation.
Yeah, I think there is. There because, well, in the Let's Plays, it's maybe even if it's a video game, it's more direct, because there usually is just like one gamer and everybody is the audience. In tabletop, there might be this sort of small divide, in the sense that if the group sort of doesn't open in the actual play to you, so if you are not feeling like part of that community, you might not get the feeling. But many times in video game Let's Plays, you get that feeling more easily, because there is only one player and the audience. So that might be some sort of difference. Many actual plays still have the feeling, but that's one of the things that's different.
And what is like kind of different usually is that in like Let's Plays with video games, the player is usually the commentator who interacts with the audience and commentates the events happening. in like actual plays with tabletop role-playing games, there are some meta talk, some meta gaming within the table that also like they open the things up with the audience. But I would still say it's mostly the people playing with themselves.
Yeah.
And not interacting with the camera, with the audience that much.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes that's the part that's really good and really hooks you, because if you see that the people are having genuinely fun, you sort of you sort of also feel it. But at the same time, it can be difficult to start actual plays as a viewer, I think, because you have to get to know the group. And at first, that can be sort of hard. For me, I think, at least.
And that's why the actual plays that have been very popular, like Critical Role, Dimension 20, Legend of Avantris, for example, and many other Natural Six, there are a lot of different groups. The more charismatic the people are, the more like easily people get interested into the characters, like the players as characters, not the characters as in the game. The attention span and the interest for the show risens a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why it might be more easy to keep watching the actual plays you already do watch. Like Dimension 20 or Critical Role, because you already sort of know the people. So it's more easily to sort of be part of that communal feeling while watching. Yeah. And that's why it might be a little bit tough to start watching or listening new actual plays.
That's true. Yeah, and that's why it usually comes to that there is usually just these few juggernauts, because it's a huge commitment. One campaign over 100 episodes, 5 hours, like that. Yeah. That's a lot of content. Yeah. That's like a massive amount of content.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 4 Game of Thrones length series.
More.
Yeah, and more than that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like 2 episodes is basically almost one season of Game of Thrones.
And that's interesting to me, is in this sort of time when there have been really many more actual play shows than before. It sort of started with the Critical Role and expanded from there, I would say. So how do you do actual play series now that really gets people hooked? Because I think it's also important that it's genuinely funny and interesting for the players. That's the sort of beating heart and the starting point. But if there is sort of interest to get wider audience, how you do it? That's interesting question.
I feel like there has been now a shift. There's been a saturation in the genre, and now, like usually when people start a new actual play show, usually D&D, it needs to be like it's from big creators. It's like superstar influencer players who already, like now the creators or the voice actors from Baldur's Gate, the voice actor of the I'm sorry guys, who was the vampire guy? Astarion's voice actor is the game master of this like new D&D podcast, and they like make their own thing. But like it feels like if you start to make a new actual play today, the bar is really freaking high.
Yeah, you're sort of competing against that sort of media attention, and that can be really hard. And I also wanted to say that I think actual plays are interesting format, because at the bottom of it, well, not everyone with their friend group not every friend group can make a TV series, for example. But I think almost every group could theoretically make an actual play. So it's interesting format, because obviously you have many actual plays with these celebrities and stuff like that, and with big sort of media houses and game houses sort of supporting them. But but the heart of it, the heart of an interesting actual play, can be made with just anyone, really. Yeah. If you have sort of the narrative, the interesting dynamics, maybe interesting people, it could be possible, but it's also sort of hard, and that's the question of what do you need if you want to make that.
And it really makes you question this is a very good question to give, especially when we have our own actual plays, but do we need another actual play show? I'm just throwing us under the bus right now.
Yeah.
But I think from that we can actually go into the subject of Merheal, the Shacklers.
Yes.
And why we wanted to still, knowing all this, why we thought that we can make a good actual play show, and why we think this is like not necessary, but why we feel like this is something that it's worth people's time.
I think that's important question for everybody doing something sort of creative work. Obviously, it needs to first be like you really want to make it and you're passionate about it. But maybe
I'm just saying this. If you want to make an actual play show, just do it.
Yeah.
It's worth on its own. And there's never can be too many of them, especially when there are like different forms. If you want to make an actual play, do it.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, we had the passion. We were interested in the subjects, but we thought while making Merheal Shacklers why we should do it. And for me, the reason was that I couldn't find an actual play that's so story-driven and character-focused that it would just sort of hooked me into it. There are many actual play shows with quite a lot of sort of like meta conversations and making jokes and stuff like that. And
the format is very same. The genre is very same. It's all about having a fun time with your friends. It's all about having this kind of whimsical adventures and talking about dragon thoughts and and taking a lot of time and and usually there are also like new players and they're like, which dice should probably throw this d6. Oh, it's 6. What happens now?
Yeah, and that's all well and good, but because there are so many of those already, I wanted to do something different. So that's why we decided with Merheal that there is no meta conversations while we play. We focus on the story, we are immersed in the characters, and we wanted it to be fast-paced. Our episodes are hour long, like within 10 minutes we are already neck deep in combat in the world, trying to make difficult calls and stuff like that. Because I really wanted it to hook me away, sort of like a TV series would almost. Because I think for me the most difficult part is starting new actual play show, because at the start there is like half an hour that almost nothing sort of really worthwhile for me happens.
Yeah.
Because they are like, well, I'm this and this, I'm that and so on. And so I really wanted to make series that could hook you in, that could be story and character focused and would be fast paced. Because I don't think that exists enough in the actual play space.
Definitely, and it's usually like you said, it's 5 hours. But you could, if you take all the meta talk out of like those actual play shows, I think it would be like maybe 2.5 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
Kind of like like there is a lot of the meta talk, and I know the emphasis on like a lot of other shows is the players.
Yeah.
The player chemistry, which is okay. And then the D&D as a game, basically. Players and the game master playing D&D, and then the story is like at the side. And it's a nice thing if it's a good story. But it doesn't really need to be a really good one.
Yeah. It sort of needs to exist.
And then you get to exist.
So it's just that in Merheal the focus is different. We want to go deep into the world, witness the story, and also do world building in a way that you get small snippets all the way through, and you get to be sort of active listener or participate, or you get to actively participate in the story, because you need to connect the dots yourself. We don't give you too much just as a given. And that interests me. Maybe it's the sort of filmmaker in me. That's also what I do as a career. So those might be the starting points of me.
Yeah, and I feel like lots of actual plays, we have talked so much about in this show that it still needs to feel like it's a tabletop role-playing game. And I think like people are very keen on we just wanted to be loose, and we still just wanted to be friends hanging out and playing tabletop role-playing games. And it's like it's still quite not. Like for example, Critical Role.
Yeah,
they still like
huge
they
production.
they still say like we still want it to feel like it's just us playing the game, and we don't want to be like a show, but it is a fucking show. You are professional actors.
So
you are professional actors. You are doing it.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to raise the cat to the table and actually say, okay, we are making this for an audience. This is actually a fantasy show where tabletop role-playing game and our chemistry are tools, but the story is the focus. That is the main point. Then the mechanics and the friend dynamics, they are helping to elevate the story, which is the main character.
Yeah.
And I think that is the very foundational difference between our actual play and everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we were thinking so long about which game system we will use.
Yeah, that was
in the show.
Yes, because and in my home games we have used like D&D, couple of different homebrew systems and so on, and always sort of felt like things were developing a bit too slow for our taste and for the storytelling format. So that was an interesting discussion. But you're the sort of game system master, so I obviously asked about you what system should we base that on, and that's when you suggested Dragonbane, and we tried it out before, trying to get out what's the thing we need to maybe a homebrew a bit, but what are the main aspects that really work, and there were quite a lot of them.
Yeah, like the main things what needed to happen was that it needed to be a system that can support 1 hour runtime.
Yeah.
Like if you run into a combat in D&D, that's 3 hours show.
Yeah.
Like you can't make it fast enough.
Yeah.
There's like no way you can make D&D fast enough that you can. Then you would have to like cut the video like a freaking ton.
Yeah.
Even if you would have like full professionals, like I have played D&D for 10 years, I know exactly what my character does, and I have thought everything through when it wasn't my turn, and I would just immediately do what I want to do. Still, it would take like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and with Dragonbane, because there is like one action economy, and the turns are quite fast with each of the characters, that already makes the combat so much shorter. We have, in our episode 1, there is a combat right at the beginning of it, and it's like 10 to maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's all it is, and there is a whole combat in that time. And that's really interesting for me.
And still, like, combat takes time. Without spoilers, we have one episode which is basically one combat, one
the whole
episode.
Hour. Yeah.
but that would have been like a full episode in D&D as well, which would be 5 hours then. So definitely the combat still takes time, but it is shorter.
Yeah.
And that was maybe the biggest point. And then I know there are like more narrative systems like Powered by the Apocalypse, Forged in the Dark, but we still like you are still like this kind of tactical veteran. So you said like, well, I don't like want to have like a full narrative system. Like I still want players to have like stats and like a little bit like skills, and I still like want to feel that this kind of like tactical grittiness. And that's why I felt like Dragonbane is maybe the best of both worlds, like the middle ground of still having this kind of classical, you have like your attributes, you have different skills, you have this kind of same kind of character form, like in those more tactical games, but still it's more narrative.
Yeah, and I like the tension of tactical games in a sense that characters could die because of the dice rolls come out that way. I sort of like that tension. So I really wanted it, and the show is about mage hunters dealing with magical threats. So there will be a lot of combat in the show at the same time. So that's really something we were focusing on, because so we get the sort of real threat that if this combat does not go our way, there might be serious repercussions.
Yeah. And when we talk about immersion, one of the biggest things that we had to still homebrew in Dragonbane was basically the numbers. Yeah. That was like maybe one of our like big Eureka moments where we were like, okay, we are removing the metagame, but if we talk about like, okay, you take 15 hit points, that automatically takes you into the metagame.
Yeah. So and like, well, what's your dex save? And it's like, well, it's 13. Well, you needed to get 15 for this. So that sort of gets us to think about the numbers, and we wanted to make and homebrew our mechanics so that we can speak Finnish and have the game terms as Finnish. Well, obviously we needed to sort of translate the Dragonbane as a whole, because that system is in English, but it was sort of, it's so clear what the guidelines are in that system, so that gave us a good starting point. But the numbers were one of those things that the Dragonbane system already helped us with most of it, not combat, but in normal skill checks in Dragonbane system, you sort of succeed or you fail. And you can see that by watching your own character sheet, because you don't need to ask about the DM, like, I rolled 19, is that enough?
Yeah.
But you can already see that, okay, it succeeded according to my skill level, or it failed because I did not roll under my skill level.
That's really beneficial with all this like skill-based roll under systems, like Call of Cthulhu and all like the basic role-playing basis games, and then Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and Dragonbane as well, like that you can just roll the dice and you know exactly did you succeed or not.
Yeah.
So that was like very beneficial for us, because if we would have we would have needed to homebrew D&D again, because they have like different DCs.
Yeah.
We would have needed to also homebrew that in some way, that we don't have to like use number terms there, because it's very integrated into the system.
Yeah.
That okay, the difficulty is 15.
Yeah.
Or at least roll me a perception check. 18.
Yeah.
What does that mean in meta? Like that automatically takes it to the meta level. So yeah, definitely that the skills and the base, the foundation of the rolling was already there. That you didn't need to use any like meta language in that sense, or you could hide it really easily.
Yeah.
Only we needed to change was the combat system.
Yeah, the hit points.
The hit points, basically. Yeah.
So we have like wounds and deep wounds. We sort of like compressed the hit points into this sort of wound levels.
Yeah.
So then we can only talk about those. We don't need to talk about, oh, you lost 5 hit points, for example.
Very akin. This was from like narrative systems like Fate and Forge in the Dark, where you have like this kind of thresholds where you can get either hit or big hit, and then they like get accumulated, and then you lose your consciousness. So that was kind of like, we have the system, or the homebrew stuff has been inspired from like narrative systems. So I'm kind of like, I'm really proud that what we have achieved with the system.
Yeah, and well, obviously now we are speaking English for this collaboration, but the Merheal
Merheal.
It's so different. We haven't discussed how do you pronounce Merheal in English.
I think we should just say Merheal.
Yeah.
Because that is the real way to pronounce it. Merheal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but we sort of.
But when you speak English, you start to round up the R's, because of course you do that in English. So it was like Merheal.
Yeah. So but well, in Merheal, the Shacklers, we wanted it to be approachable by audiences who don't speak in Finnish. So Valtteri did the amazing work of translating every episode of hours and hours of us speaking, and there might be Finnish subtitles in this as well, who knows?
But it was a long conversation.
Yeah.
Which language should we use? Because we knew that we wanted to make a show that could appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah.
We wanted that from the beginning. And it was a long talk that what language should we use. But we still went with Finnish because for all the players, that is the emotional language.
Yeah.
And that is kind of very integrated into the world of Merheal as well,
Yes.
the Finnish language.
Because it has sort of started as this sort of collection of many inspiring things, but also Finnish folklore and stuff like that, and has been built upon that as well. So there are those elements that I'm really keen on preserving, and also it's the sort of my storytelling language as a game master, and it's the language where I can get the players and audiences most immersed, at least in Finnish. And coming back to the genuine parts of it, because when you make an actual play, there needs to be genuine stuff, really like at the heart of it, that you really enjoy it and you're really interested in what you are doing, because it's a lot of work. So one of the things that we were interested was making this in Finnish, in our own emotional language, because I also think that will somehow resonate in the way we play, because if we
Definitely.
would play in English, there would be some distance that we would need to maybe try to work to close.
And it's just a different feeling. As a person who has run their solo games in our own channel in English, so I have been playing a table of role-playing games in English, and I have actually run, when I was living in UK, I ran some games in English. And so it is definitely a different feeling
Yeah.
to run the game or play the game in different languages, and that definitely gives it different nuances. And we have so many actual plays already in English with English professional voice actors. So what the fuck?
Yeah. Why
How
are we
can
competing? Yeah.
How could we compete with that? So like,
And at the same time, there is like couple in here, Finland. So we should make it in Finnish, because there is also really not so many possibilities.
And there are but again, we wanted to still make it as approachable as possible for international audience. So that's why we have the English subtitles, and we have so many shows. Like, people watch anime with subtitles, people watch Korean shows with subtitles, and international shows have like massively been massive hits in Netflix.
And sort of in social media today, you could watch many things in public with subtitles, even if they are at your own language, because you can't watch them with sound on maybe. So subtitles are sort of rising.
Definitely. And maybe we can, from here, to circle into the final question. What do you feel like is the future of tabletop actual plays? What do you expect, and what would you like wish for the future of tabletop role-playing actual plays?
I sort of would wish that, there is a clear template, sort of the whimsical, which we talked about, many different sorts of metagaming aspects, and, just talking about how the goblin, sort of like what shenanigans the goblins are doing right now, and sort of, so the template in a lot of actual play shows are quite similar. I don't mean that template is wrong. It's really great in many ways. I have enjoyed it myself. But I would sort of hope that people who make actual play series would make them sort of just the way they want. Obviously thinking what sort of audience would this reach, because if you just want to sort of do your home game, you can do that even without sort of mics and cameras. So it's really important that there is something for the audience. So not just about the players and game masters themselves, but really sort of try different things with the format. What sort of actual plays could we have? Where could we go? So sort of like go outside the template.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's like really kind of diplomatic and and like a teaching answer. So I will now give the asshole answer.
Yeah, nice. That's
Just playing the game is not enough anymore.
yeah, that's true.
That was enough when Critical Role started. They had shitty cameras, kind of shitty mic, and it was just like them sitting down and playing. Just a couple of nerdy ass voice actors sitting down and playing Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
right? It's not enough anymore. That has now been done 1,000 times by professionals with amazing lighting, amazing cameras, and everything. So just playing the game is not enough anymore. If you want to make like a show for the audience.
Yeah.
Again, if you want to make actual play for yourself and you have the passion that you want to make it. Even if it would just be playing the game, make it. It's always worth to create something.
Yeah.
I would say.
Sort of don't trust us if you just want to do it, but if you have some sort of trying to wrestle with the thought, is this similar than all the rest? Well, if the answer is yes, then don't do it. Just play your home game.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot more value in that. Definitely that the cameras are not rolling and you can play the game. And like our show is definitely not the only way to play the game.
Yeah.
But it is one way to play the game, and we play it for the audience.
Yeah.
We don't play it. We also, of course, we play it a little bit for ourselves as well. We enjoy it. But the audience is like what we are serving there.
Yeah.
We are performers making a performance using the format of table of role-playing games.
Yeah. To tell the story.
To tell the story.
Yeah. Our home games are not like we do Merheal, Shacklers.
Yeah. So if you have like that's what I wish for the future, and I feel like the future of actual plays will be that, or they will die.
Yeah, sort of, because if we only continue the really big production value actual plays, Critical Role and Dimension 20 and stuff like that, it will become mainstream in a bad way, in a way that it's just, it's another reality TV thing. It's not, so there needs to be something new, because otherwise those big productions are gonna eat the sort of mainstream template of actual play series. They are gonna fill it. So you need to do something new to succeed.
And final question, I think this is the most important one. Will the actual play scene live and die with the popularity of D&D? Because I think there's been a lot of conversations about the idea that as long as D&D is popular, actual plays are popular. But if people lose their interest in D&D, aka that for in tabletop role-playing games, because let's be real, it's D&D and tabletop role-playing games, and your game.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not even funny how much popular D&D is compared to other tabletop role-playing games. So I think it's fair to compare it to the point that if there's no interest in D&D, is there any more interest in actual plays?
I think I sort of hope that the interest in D&D sort of dies out. Not because D&D is a bad game, it's a good game, but I think it has gone so big, it's too big for itself even. And so I sort of hope that it will die out, and I know it will affect actual play shows. But I think that the ones that sort of survive that are these sort of new ideas. And I think those ideas can find a way to thrive, even without D&D. Because I know it will affect audiences on a large scale. But if your actual play is just about playing D&D, then it does not offer really so much that it possibly could.
For example, like Critical Role, they have now their own table of role-playing game system.
Yeah.
So I think they will Critical Role would take a huge hit when D&D when D&D dies out, but they will survive.
Yeah.
because they have their own tabletop role playing. They can like create their own ecosystem now.
Yeah.
They are too big to just completely fail with D&D.
Yeah. And I think that it's sort of like a phoenix. It's now really old. It will burst to ash, but maybe something can rise up from there.
Hopefully from that. It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And we are not playing D&D, so let's see what happens to us.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to like also bring more light into a little bit lesser known tabletop role playing systems. And we wanted to, through our show, because why D&D is also so popular is partially thanks of Critical Role.
Yeah.
Because they created with their personalities the interest into the game. Like, wow, what's this game these actors are playing? I know that Laura Bailey from video game voice actor. Well, oh, she's now playing this kind of game. Wow, interesting. Like, what is this game? So it's very ambitious to say this, but I feel like we can possibly create that kind of hype as well with our story.
Yeah.
But the story being and the world being the main character.
Yeah. But that's why you should do actual plays with different game systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what serves your thing that you're doing. Are you serving the game or are you serving the story with the mechanics?
Yeah.
I guess it remains to be seen.
Yeah. I will be looking forward to whatever happens. It's interesting time to be tabletop role playing nerd.
Yeah,
basically.
It's definitely big changes are coming, and I feel like we are right now in the phase of this kind of metamorphosis.
Yeah.
There are a lot of changes happening, and good and bad.
Yeah.
And the next 5 years will highly determine what kind of tabletop role playing scene will be overall, and actual play scenes.
Yeah. We can do this after 5 years and give you a recap of how things have changed.
Yeah, then we can. I told you so. But hey, thank you, Ilmari, for being here with me and making this collaboration video. It was really fun.
It was actually. I was just, I would normally send these discussions to you in a voice message. Now I
in 15 minutes voice message is like, okay, Walter, have you ever thought about this? And I'm sorry, I need to take the cup of. And it'll be fun.
Now we can do it in face to face.
Yes, now we're doing it face to face. But like and subscribe Kylian Roleplaying, like and subscribe Merheal, and check the show out. It's really freaking good, even if I say it myself. But it is really good, and it doesn't. You can watch now all the episodes in less than one episode of Critical Role. So you have time for that.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you and bye.
Yeah. And let us know about comments how you think the actual play scene is changing or will be changing.
Yeah.
That's interesting to hear for us.
Prove us wrong. Tell us how wrong we are. We probably are, but you can tell us how.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
No niin, hyvä.
Hei, hyvä.
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 Se on siinä.
Hei, no niin.